The Livelihoods and Job Creation Reflections paper is drawn on a number of evaluations of UNDP's work in response to crisis over the decade, including the 2004 tsunami, the Ebola crisis in 2014, and a number of conflicts and refugees issues. UNDP has considerable experience in responding to these crises globally, and we should use these lessons and the best practices learnt to inform our programming going forward. The Reflections paper draws on these lessons, specifically on securing and building back livelihoods and job security for populations and communities. COVID-19 is clearly impacting the livelihoods and jobs of people globally. Key lessons learnt and recommendations from the Livelihoods paper, Reflections paper, can be timely to inform UNDP programs and projects for COVID-19 and future crises. The findings of the Reflection paper offer us timely reminders as well as lessons learnt on what should not be forgotten and what should be included in UNDP support to livelihoods in crisis response. A key lesson that might seem obvious is long-term planning. Supporting governments and communities to better respond to crises such as COVID-19, UNDP should design its livelihoods and recovery programs with a longer-term view that extends beyond the initial response and stabilisation periods of the crisis. At the same time, the planning from the transition from response to recovery is essential. A further central finding is that crisis offers us an opportunity to do things differently and ensure that our interventions build back better. And support to livelihoods and job creation is a clear example of this. What I found remarkable was that we have numerous lessons out there on how to build back better. In the Philippines, we saw employment and enterprise support that took into consideration weaknesses in formal credit markets, property and land rights issues. In Jordan and Sierra Leone, we saw support to youth employment, building training packages based on the demands of employers in the countries. While in Syria and other countries, we've seen livelihood interventions that have been transformative for the lives of women and not just inclusive, taking into consideration cultural norms and constraints that may have previously blocked their access to support and the opportunities and benefits. What has impressed me most while researching and writing the Reflections paper is the wealth of experience that UNDP has in working in crisis, captured through UNDP's evaluations and other reports. This should not be forgotten but built on and adapted when responding to current and future crises such as COVID-19. In recent years, I've been lucky enough to undertake evaluations in Uganda, Sierra Leone, Zimbabwe and the Philippines, all of whom have been impacted by one crisis or another in recent years, and where UNDP has been central to the recovery support, especially in livelihoods. It also reminds me how important it is when faced with a crisis that before tackling it straight on, we reflect and incorporate past experience, lessons learned, best practices, and avoid making similar mistakes to those that we may have made in the past, building on our good experience. This Reflections paper builds on those key lessons and references for UNDP's projects and programme design for COVID-19, but also for future crises going forward in an easy to read document.